There's a fascinating article which has turned up in the Daily Mail today by Andrew Pierce, and in his commentary, he criticises the continued remote working culture among Whitehall civil servants after the pandemic. And despite directives from ministers, particularly like Jacob Rees-Mogg, demanding at least 60% office attendance, several key departments have not met this target or even bothered to try, and the Home Office particularly, vital for managing immigration, for stopping small boats, for ensuring public safety, has shown particularly low attendance, hitting only 48% in 1 week of January and 51% in another week. HMRC, which is responsible for tax, reached 62% attendance in 1 week, while the Foreign Office, dealing with global conflicts, managed 61% attendance on only 2 occasions since November. Now, unions have warned that enforcing a 3-day office week could lead to mass resignations, which raises questions about the visibility and the productivity of civil servants in Whitehall. And I would add the tone of the conversations which civil servants have with the public needs even greater scrutiny. There's a growing debate about whether the workforce in departments like HMRC, the Home Office, the NHS should be reduced or modified. And certainly I think, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of comments about this from the usual people, that bureaucrats across Whitehall and beyond are lording it over the country and not doing the work that they are engaged to do. It's a mixture of indolence and arrogance. And critics, not only me, critics argue that bureaucrats do not engage in sufficiently productive work for their interactions with the public. They lack efficiency, they lack respect, and they lack identity. So when you are speaking to one of these officials, it's very difficult to hold them to account when they've been holding you on the line for an hour and then are fairly dismissive. I'm not sure that what we need is a more streamlined civil service, but we need an improved civil service to ensure better public service delivery, better scrutiny, better accountability. And I must say, I'm also not entirely convinced that higher attendance rates in the office is the move that will enhance greater productivity or service standards. So though the idea of greater office attendance, of course, provokes resistance from unions and civil servants themselves, raising broader questions about the future of civil service work and the work culture in the public sector. The idea about whether or not civil servants should bureaucrats be trimmed, you've got to question the productivity and the efficiency, and a smaller, more efficient workforce is often the answer. The public interaction, which is appalling, and it sets a standard for the for the interaction that we have with banks, with telephone companies, with insurance companies, which is equally dismissive, haughty, arrogant, surly, and indolent, lazy. And you only have to look at the huge number of migrants who are kept in hotels with the backlog growing to recognize that the Home Office, for example, is not doing its job. And this is partly because of the hostile environment and the way that has been interpreted by civil servants as a reason not to do anything. And a lot of the reform, which is necessary, needs to focus on the operational needs of the various departments, and I think some of it needs to focus on the way work is outsourced. So when the public are interfacing with somebody, if that somebody, a civil servant or a person in a phone center, which of course a crypto civil servant, if they don't have the authority to escalate the call or to divert the call, then it becomes a useless interaction and a time-wasting exercise. And it doesn't really matter how much the agent talks about respect, or talks about courtesy and threatens to cut off the call. They are provoking that response, that discourteous response, with their desultory and dismissive manner. Calls should be answered quickly, and calls should be answered by somebody who can actually field the call. And similarly, the interactions with online help, whether this is with a real person or with a machine, and who knows what you're talking to, frankly. And it's utterly frustrating, the time wasted going through security checks when actually the information is still not then forthcoming. And the security checks are not necessary to get that bit of information. The information that is available to the public online is so couched in jargon and so distanced from reality that often it simply isn't of use. And this is throughout our system. The information which is given out is there to protect the system rather than to enable the customer or the client or the citizen. And it's the contempt it engenders cannot be good for employee morale and service delivery. The person who is answering the phone, the agent, represents the business that is being called. And I think we've lost that understanding. And I think we need to recover it. And it doesn't matter how many more civil servants we get, if the ones we've got who are responsible are not doing their job, then they are also giving a very bad example to the people who are coming into the system. We need a reform.